Hello and welcome to the mothership. Oh, hold on. Okay. Early in the morning, everything's real. Takes a while to get warmed up. Whew. Anyway, welcome to the mothership. I'm your commander, LAK. How you doing? All you braves doing all right out there? All my braves and all my babies. Because, hey, we're either working with each other or we are working for you. So, hey, you're either part of my braves or you're part of my babies. But I love you all. I love you all very much. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to do a quick, I can't sit like that very long. I'm just going to do a quick story time. I have quite a few stories planned. Everyone follow Filson, okay? And keep mentioning LAK story time. Say, hey, I'm a friend of LAK and I'm interested, just say, hey, I want one of your catalogs or something. Just y'all help me out, all right? I'm going to do a story time specifically for them, but I want it to be much more professional than I am, I guess, candid. I don't know, I'm going to be candid, but I don't know. I'm going to figure it out because it's going to be about that. But this is not that. This is one of the reasons why I probably bought a Filson coat, though. It's going to be a quick story time. When I was about 6, 7... Okay, I was old. I was 6 or 7. I had already shot and killed my first big game animal when I did that when I was 6 years old. And I'll tell you that story one day. But that's not this story. This is what I was. Y'all might have seen the video earlier where I was talking about my dad. This story made me think about my dad. And it's a story time I make. So when I was 6 or 7 years old, I was with my mother and father in this house we lived in. And first, I don't know what, but I had gotten thoroughly offended and pissed off and whatever. Whatever. My parents were mad at me and I was mad at my parents. Who knows, right? Because I'm 7. Well, so I decided I don't need this fucking shit. I'm a badass motherfucker, right? So, you remember my story time about Kavik, the dog that died, that we buried. Okay, well, when I was 6, that fucking dog that was my dog. He was like fucking, triggered to my Roy Rogers or champion to my Gene Autry. Did I get those right? He was my fucking old yeller, my lassie. So I got pissed off at my fucking parents, okay? This was wintertime. It was probably 37, maybe 40 below zero, and there was a nice snowstorm front coming in, and it was getting colder. And I got mad at my parents, and I said, fuck that shit, I'm gone, okay? And I had a fucking sled that was called I don't know, I should look for it on the computer, but I think it was called the Black Bear. And it was like, anyway, it was a sled that you sat in and you put your feet out, and it was all molded. And it was black, and it had red brakes on either side that I continuously broke, But that was my sled. And so I took my sled, I got a little cooler, one of the old ones that's igloo, right? And I filled it up with dog food right? And then I had stuff to make a fire with. And like I'd stolen some of my dad's Copenhagen, right? And the other thing I had this stick, a special stick for whatever reason, and I had a whole bunch of socks that I had lighter fluid or something that I had, and like, I don't know, I had all this. And so I struck out. I said, fuck y'all, I'm leaving. And my dad said, and look, I remember being there, and my dad's like, you're leaving? And I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. And he says, what do you mean you're leaving? And I said, I don't want to be here. I'm going to go spend the night out in the woods. I just can't be here right now. I can't stand this. And he's like, are you sure? And like before this, we had done a bunch of yelling and everything. And I guess everything was fucking, I'm sure my mom was like, go talk to him. But this, and he was like, you're doing what? And I told him, he was like, you sure? And then I had like this piece of canvas. My mom was an artist, and I was looking around, and like my 5-year-old brain remembered all the few movies I'd seen, and they had canvas, you know, and like if I was gonna go steal I couldn't go steal like the sleeping bags and stuff because my dad would have known and fucking seen or whatever. So I had this piece of canvas, you know. And so he says, well, what's that canvas for? I said, I'm going to sleep with. This is all I need. And he's like, you sure you don't need something else? Well, by then, he could have handed me the sleeping bag, and I'd have been like, fuck you, man. You know, because I don't know. I've had an authority problem my entire life, apparently. Also, I guess this is really none of y'all's business, but, like, my mother and father, who I call my mother and father, like, I'm adopted by them. You know, I mean, like, legally, I'm pretty sure. But like it's known that I mean, like we're not blood or whatever. Like a few people in the community have probably seen, you know, Ed maybe seen pictures of my family, and like I don't look like them. Just so y'all know, if y'all ever later be like, what? So I don't know. So anyway, I struck out. I was 6 o'clock, 6 minutes. So anyway, my dad's like, all right, well, we won't lock the door if you want to come back. He's treating me like I'm an asshole. He's like, oh, okay. That's what he did to me. Oh, and I just realized that I do that to people now. Shit. But he was like, oh, okay. He was like, see you later. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, pissed. So I strike out into this storm with my dog and my sled and my stick with a sock wrapped on it that's soaked in lighter fluid that I light. And so I have a torch. And it's fucking this horrific storm. Like it's snowing and it's dark and it's like almost 40 below. But I don't think it really is yet. It probably is by the end. It definitely is 40 below by the end of the story. But so I go and I'm out. And so I leave my folks' little driveway and I walk down the road because I had a place down the road. If I went down the road, I had my own trail and I knew where I was going to go. And it was this huge spruce tree, white spruce, okay? In Alaska, we have white spruce and black spruce, and y'all can look those up. But this was a huge white spruce tree. There was probably, man, 150 feet tall. And there's a lot of things. We could have a whole hour video about white spruce trees, you know, and in the comments below, let me know if you want to know more about that kind of stuff, because I'm not just all about toys and stuff, you guys. I'm a collector of knowledge. So let's talk. But so I had this big white spruce tree that I hung out, and white spruce trees are like the actual Christmas trees, right? And the bottoms come way out, and then this thing is in the middle. So literally, this tree, when you got up underneath it, there was no snow, you know, and it was literally as big as like this room. It was like a 10-foot, 12-foot circle of, and to a 6-year-old kid, it was a mansion, you know. Because like I might have been 173 pounds in 3rd grade, you know, but I was, you know, only whatever, 5 feet tall or whatever I was, 4.5 feet tall. So, but this was just amazing. So that's where I went. And I didn't want to catch a tree on fire, all this kind of stuff. And I had a little tiny place where I had a fire. And I'd stayed there before. And I put this canvas out. And I had spruce boughs and stuff, you know. And, like, I was very uncomfortable. And I was really fucking cold. And I sat there all night shivering with my dog. And my dog, though, like, he never tried to make me go back. He never, you know, but we just sat there in the freezing fucking cold, you know, and you'd feel real, and like me and the dog ate fucking dried dog food, you know, because like I knew I couldn't pack enough for both of us, so I need to take dog food. That's just how my mind worked. It was about the good of the team. The good of the team dictates that like I can't carry bacon and eggs and do this and do that and all this bullshit, you know. So I had this igloo cooler of dog food, and me and the dog we sat there all night, and you'd eat. And like if you eat food, you know, you can stay warm by eating food. I don't know if anybody knows that, you know, but it's about whatever, creating energy, right? Like that's why you eat food, right? If you sit on your couch playing video games and you eat food all day, you get fat. But if you're sitting in the wilderness and it's 50 below and you're freezing to death and you have no fire and it's just you and you eat food, you don't necessarily get fat, but you don't freeze to death. You know? I mean, I'm sure at fucking 8, I'm sure at some point, maybe wind or something, you fall asleep. If you'd fallen asleep, you probably would have died. But I sat there, out there all night being fucking mad at fucking whatever. And just knowing that I don't even know, you guys. Jesus. Anyway, so anyway, like the next morning, the next day at noon, when and I wasn't going back. Like, I know the dog was telling me, like, dude, it's cold, what the fuck are we doing? Well, like, I know my dad, he looked at me and he was like, see you in a little while. And I just knew, I was like, no motherfucker, you are not going to see me in a little while. You're going to see me tomorrow at noon in the heat of the day. So, you know, and I fucking sat out there under that tree in that fucking storm, fucking 6, 7 years old, alone with my dog, proving my, whatever the fuck, I was fucking proving my willpower, I guess. Where there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. But, the one thing I remember is I had that torch, though. I had that stick with that sock, and I had my dog, and I had my sled. And when I was walking down the road, when I first left the house, like a neighbor, you know, who, like their houses were, this was in the hills of Fairbanks, okay, when I went to school, and we all lived in a house in town. My dad, you know, we did that for a little bit. And I hated it. But it was still better. In retrospect, it was still pretty awesome. Because I could just, like, you can't do this where I live now. You can just walk down the street and fucking go camping. You'll get arrested. It's fucking, America, my fucking ass. But when I was walking down the street, I remember I had my stick, and it had fire on, and a car drove by me, and I didn't know them, but they looked at me, and they're just like, but it's Alaska, so, like, I don't know what they assess the situation. Like, if you're driving down the road in Alaska and there's an old man wearing no shoes, okay, he obviously is an old man with dementia. You pull over and you get him. You say, hey, old timer. I mean, this is where I come from. We do this. If you know what I'm saying? You can tell the difference between a crazy person and somebody who's a wilderness person, right? Because this person was walking down the street, and I was in all the gear I owned, and I was prepared, and I had a dog, and I had a sled with shit on it. This person was like, oh, they don't, you know what I mean? If they were going the same direction as me, they might have stopped and been like, hey, you need a ride somewhere? But they were going the other direction, and they were like, oh, this guy's fine. Even though I'm a 6-year-old kid. Because in Alaska, that's how fucking it works. I don't know. So anyway, I sat out there all night until about the middle of the day, the next day. Me and my dog were just frozen stiff, and every step I took going home was like glass in my, you know, it's just like, I don't know if it was like the start of fucking lax arthritis days or what, but I just remember it, you know, and I felt that feeling a few times in my life. You get too cold out there, but anyway, so that's a quick candid story time. I don't know, I've never really said that story out loud, and I don't know, I might have just unfucking peeled the scab off of something that's not bad, but I'm just thinking, like, just the other day, my old lady was like, you have a fucking authority problem. And I was like, no, I don't, oh! Anyway. Yeah! I hope y'all heard that, because, wait, what are we on now, 4? I still hear him. He's in the same gear. There it was. Whoa. If there might have been one in between there, I missed. But yeah. There's some army guys at the base with their fucking taxpaying fucking car. I was raised by Native Americans, and I was raised also not to say that, because that's, I don't know, real natives don't think that's cool, but I was raised by Athabascan Indians and Yupik and Inupiat Eskimos, and I'm just saying that, I don't know, it's different. It's different. I love y'all. This has been General LAK Sivrak. I hope that story time was meant something. I don't know. I love y'all. Anabasis chat.